Hello everyone, it's Maria here from Pepperly Rose Paper Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me, and today I'm going to be showing you a card using products that I haven't used for a little while, and I thought it would be nice to dust them off and use them. I'll be using Abstract Impressions stamp set. I'm going to be using the thank you sentiment off this stamp set. I'm using the Seasonal Layers Framelits dies. I'll be using this branch along with these beautiful little flowers there. And I'm also going to be using the rectangle stitched framelit dies as well. And I'll be using this particular die. Okay, so I'll be covering a couple of things as well. To start off with, I'm going to be using a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, which is half an A4, cut in half, and then I scored it in half, and that makes an A6 card base. Now, recently I've noticed that there are people asking for measurements, but just so you know that there are different kinds of card bases for whatever region you live in the world. So if you're US or Canada, you have the imperial system and you have your own system of card bases. And in Australia we have Australia, UK and Europe, we have the A4 sheet, which is this. Now, if you want to know the exact measurements of what an A4 piece of cardstock is, you can get this information for free on Google. So all you have to look up is Australian card bases sizes, and they show you measurements in both inches and in centimetres. So you can get this information for free, and you can make your own templates for card bases and the mats that you put on those card bases. So if you're wondering what half an A4 is, basically it's just folded in half, like so, which is what this card base is, right? And then you fold it in half again, and that's your A6 card base. So that's A6. Okay, so if you're wondering what the measurements are, what I used to do when I first started card making was I'd grab my trimmer, and what I did was I folded the sheet in half, so as we did just now. So I'll just unfold it again. So I'd fold it in half, and then where the score line is, I'd put it where you would cut it, and then I'd get the measurement from here, and I would mark my trimmer until I got to know the measurement, because I get confused with numbers and things like that. Maths is not a strong point for me. And then I did that. So what I'd do is I'd go, okay, so that's half an A4. So that's how I knew. And then I would fold it in half again. So then I knew how to cut up. So I knew, okay, this is either to fold it in half, so I'd use the scorer, and then I got the measurement from doing that, the scorer, or I would cut to make the panels for your card base, which is like this. And if I wanted it smaller, I made up my own kind of measurements with the panels. So what I did was I'd say, okay, well, I don't want it to be this big, but I want it to be slightly smaller. So what I tend to use is not very scientific or exact, but I'd use that measurement there, and then I'd proceed to cut off like that my card base, like that, the mat, until it is, I'm not sure if you can see it, until it's just like that. So I do it on the long side and the shorter side, and it's even all around. So that's my scientific way of doing it. Then I'd go up 1/8 of an inch each way. I work in both centimetres and in inches. It really depends, but there's no right or wrong with your card bases. Don't get hung up on measurements and just have fun with it. And then you will know for yourself what looks good, what doesn't look good, and how you would want your card to look. So there's no real measurements per se with regards to card making. So don't get caught up in these measurements, even if you're learning, because this is what then doesn't make card making fun. So what we'll do is with this card base here is we'll leave it to the side, but I'll just give it another burnish because I didn't do it properly. And then I've got a panel piece of cardstock which we're going to use for later, but not right now. So we'll just leave it there for the time being. I have a piece of cardstock here, and what I want to do is I want to cut off I want to cut off a certain amount on the side, And it is actually the amount that I used before, which is over there. So it's just about, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch off, roughly. Let's just see. Yeah, about 1/8 of an inch off. So that's what I'm going to cut off just there now. It's very tiny, because I want this piece to be cut with the stitched framelit, and this will go across my card front. So you do whatever you like. Now, as you can see, this doesn't fit right across, but I would like to have that nice stitched border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this this here, but I'm not going to cut all the way there. I'm going to stop short. So I'll show you how I do that so you can make it longer. So I've got my card base here. Sorry, my platform with a thin die adapter. I'm going to put my framelit just there. Then I'm going to put my top cutting plate just shy of where to cut it there, because I want to make it I want to make it longer. Okay, oh, it's a bit sticky there. So I'll just place it where I want it. I might put some painter's tape just to secure it on. Okay, so it doesn't move too much. All right, now I'm going to put my plate just there, but it doesn't use that cut bit there to cut it. So I'll just leave it. I'm going to cut it. I'll put it through the big shot. Hang on a second. I'll go through this way, I think. I'll go that way. Do it any way you feel comfortable with. I'll do it this way because that's what I feel comfortable with. And I'll just go through there. And then go through. And then, as you will see, it didn't cut all the way, okay? So it's just like that. So if I want to now cut all the way to the edge of this, what I will do is I will position my framelit over the top until I feel it click, which is, I know it seems weird, but it does click there. So what I'll do is I'll put this through again, and I will be just short to cut it all the way. So I'll go through like this, so I don't cut it right on the edge there. All right, so go through that now. And now I have made a piece that is longer than this. Isn't that wonderful? I love that, and I just really love that stitched detail right round it. So that's how you can make your rectangles go further. We will need the big shot later, but I'm going to put it down for now. So I hope you understood how I did that. And if not, just rewind it again and you can see how I did it. So I've got a nice long piece here, which will then go across the front of this. And if it doesn't go all the way across, I'm just going to trim this part off, but I'll leave that till later. All right. Then I'm going to put my framelit away. And I'm going to grab some spare cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some ink blending some colours. And I'm not going to use any coloured cardstock at all. I'm just going to ink blend it because I think it will just make it look really nice and kind of different. So I'll grab that there. And for this one, I'm going to use this for the flowers. So I'm going to use my Blushing Bride ink. I'm going to use my lovely makeup brush. And I'm just going to ink blend some colours onto it. And if it has a nice ombre effect, that's fine. I think it'll look lovely. Okay, that's Blushing Bride. I'm going to ink blend another piece of cardstock the same way. So you'll have a couple of pieces here of just scrap cardstock. So you don't chuck these out, you keep them. So I've just ink blended a couple of these. So I'll put them to the side for now. Clean up my craft sheet. And then give this a wipe. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use, wipe that off, I'm going to use some early espresso, and I've got a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and I'm going to ink blend some early espresso, and I'll just do it towards the bottom. Just like that. And these are the ink blended pieces of cardstock are what I'm going to use to cut out my die cuts. So say for example you don't have, you know, some colours on hand. I mean, I have these colours on hand, but just say you don't. You can get a white piece of cardstock and colour your own cardstock and make it whatever colour you want it to be. And I'm going to wipe this down, wipe that off. And then that way you can custom design the colours, you can custom design the intensity of it and everything. So it's a really, really good idea. So I'll clean this off. This is early espresso, so I'll make sure that I clean my brush really well. So the next time I ink blend, I'm not going to get it all over my other ink pad, whatever colour it may be, and contaminate it. So just clean, clean, clean. Okay, that's nice and clean now. So I'll get rid of the craft sheet, don't need that anymore. I'm going to bring back my Big Shot. And I'm going to grab my Seasonal Layers Thinlits dies. I'm going to grab the branch. I'm going to grab some of these flowers, all three of them. And so what I'm going to do is cut my branch. And then I'm going to grab my Blushing Bride ones. And you can keep these scraps as well and use them for other die cuts as well if you like, or you can use them to add like a little accent of some sort. See, so it looks like that on there. Then I'm going to cut these out. Hang on, so I didn't square that on. Oops, and then they came off. Make sure that's stuck too. So you can do all sorts of really cool effects with this. It looks lovely. So let's quickly put that through. Okay, and that's it with the die cutting. Well, that came off nice and easy, didn't it? So, here are the flowers. They look gorgeous. So we'll get those over there. And the branch I'll just go and get my craft pick and I will be back. Got my craft pick and I will just now get my die cut and I'll just push that through. Oh, that was quick. And look at the branch. It's got some really nice variations of colour. I think it looks really, really pretty. I just love that. So yeah, if you ever need to have, you know, a really nice effect, it's nice to kind of just make a mess of your papers and then use them again and again until they go to make your own coloured cardstock. Nice and different. I do that sometimes, so it's fun. All right, now with this cardstock here, what I would like to do is to position my branch like that. That looks just so pretty. I love that. Then I'm going to do that and position the flowers where I see they would look good. No, it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. Might put this one over here and then this one up here. Just think it looks just so pretty. Just so pretty. And then I forgot my glue and my tweezers, so I'll be back again. So what I'll do now is I'll just grab some glue and my tweezers and I'm going to stick down this branch. It's a simple card, but really nice when you make it with cardstock, or you colour your own cardstock and you make it really pretty with this variations of colours. And there's no right or wrong way of doing this. You can do these any colours you like. I'll just take away the card base for a second. I'll just put this towards the bottom there. Like that. That's so pretty. I love it. Then with my flowers, I might put them up on dimensionals. I think that will look really pretty. So I'll just cut up some dimensionals that I have. So you just use your ends there. Just cut up little pieces. I'll just cut several of these. Just have them ready. So that's really handy, having some of these all ready to go, and we'll just add them in strategic places. And that has now some dimension. Can you see that? It looks beautiful. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my piece of cardstock here, and I'm just going to do a little, like a little mark that this is where I want to trim it. I'm going to get my trimmer and trim this bit down. Make sure it's nice and even. And that looks nice and even. Love that. Okay, get off. All right. And before I stick that down, I'm going to get my thank you sentiment from the stamp set, which is this one over here. I'm going to pop that up there, or shall I pop it down here? And I think I'll pop it down there. So I'll just grab my Stamparatus, because I just find it easier with the Stamparatus to lay everything down. Okay, so I will get my early espresso ink and just ink that up. And if it doesn't ink up 100%, that's fine. You can just use the Stamparatus again in the same spot and do it again. And I want that darker, so I'll do that again. Just wipe off the excessive ink there on the side to make sure I don't contaminate my page. Although it shouldn't be an issue, but you just never know. Oh no, it got blurry. It moved. Let's do it on this side. No one will see it. So this time I'll grab my magnet and I'll do it again. That's the beauty of having these kinds of things, is you can turn them over and start again. And ink it up one more time. And this is early espresso ink. That's better. Okay, perfection. Perfect. Okay, so I'll pop this away. And I'll just clean that up. Okay, take this away. Now what I would like to do with this panel as well is to add a couple of score lines. So I want 2 score lines down the bottom and 3 up the top, and at 1/16 of an inch, or yeah, 1/16 of an inch intervals. No, it's 1/8 of an inch, isn't it? With the scoreboard. So again, I'll do some guidelines here so I know where it is of where to score up. So what I did was I did tiny little tick marks here and here, so I can do my score lines from that point upwards. This will just make the design a little bit more interesting. So I'll just grab, so let's do it this way and that way. And I can see it from the other side because I want the score lines to be up. So I will go from here, 1, 2, and then 3, and then on this one here, and there. No exact science, guys, it's just whatever you think looks good. And as you can see, the score lines there, it's like embossing, makes it look interesting. And then I'm going to add this panel here in the middle, so it looks like it's on some nice pattern there. I love this. Simple but effective. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this panel down. And just make sure it's nice and even all round. Doesn't, as I said, it doesn't have to be an exact science. You just go with the flow. And sometimes when you do that, that's when your cards turn out nice too, because there's no exact science. And then we put this on here. I'm going to put some glue down. And just pop that there. So that's my card for today. On the inside as well, there are stamps that go with this framelits, the seasons, what's it called? Seasonal Layers Thinlits dies, but I don't have it with me right now. But yeah, these are really lovely framelits just on their own. They are so, so nice. Check that out. Just put them all away. Pop that here. Pop that there. And, you know, you can use them for seasons. You can use them for like winter or Christmas and all sorts of cool stuff. Autumn, spring, you name it. And this is a great stamp set too, the abstract impressions. I'll put this away whilst I'm talking to you. Yeah, I really love, you know, these, that you can mix and match everything. That's the beauty of these things, is you can mix and match them and you can create truly unique cards. So I hope you like it, and hope you like this effect too with colouring your own cardstock. I think it's a wonderful idea and makes for very interesting looking cards. So you can use your scoreboard not only for scoring, but you can use it to add accent onto your cards as well with some like embossing. Isn't that the coolest? So hope you like it. If you have any questions or you have any feedback for me, please don't hesitate to leave a question below below this video. If you'd like to purchase from me, these are available through my online store at pepperlyrose.stampinup.net. Thank you so much for persevering with me with this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.